And so we speak a lot about the history and theory of Krishna consciousness, especially in the auspicious time we live in right now, like a Kartika. One name of constellation is Kartikeya, and Kartikeya is a warrior of demigods. So for some of the Indian people, it makes a lot of sense because Kartikeya win many of the demon wars. But there's also Skanda Sampradaya, where Kartikeya worship is Vishnu. What it basically tells, when something extraordinary is been happening or been done, it is done by Vishnu himself, which Krishna in one of his forms. So that means everything ultimately connects with Krishna, Vishnu, in a particular way we can establish the God by that position. So sometimes we say Vaishnava, because we are worshipping all forms of Vishnu. Besides Krishna, we also respect Narasimha, Vamana, etc. But Krishna in particular, Karshna, or Vaishnava sometimes calls it Karshna, as a devotee of Krishna. So in Hinduism, there are ideas about, Ishta Devata, means, somebody like Ganesh, somebody like Shiva, somebody like... And that is misunderstood. This idea has been misunderstood by general public, but it's pretty clear, been expressed in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, because according to one's rasa and one's appreciation of divinity, that divinity will reveal to him. Just like when you go to South India, places like Guruvayur, you would see this is called Guruvayur Krishna Temple. But when you go inside the temple, which white people are not allowed, but if you would go inside the temple, you would see Chaturbhuja, the four-headed form of Vishnu. And the history behind that form of Vishnu is when Krishna got married with 16,000 princes, that the divine form is given to him by his father. So remember, Krishna has two fathers, one Nanda Baba Yashodama, one is Devaki and Vasudev. And between these two families there's a conflict. One family think, Krishna is just coward boy, he should stay in Vrindavan forever and just do his simple life with us in a tribal family of Gopas and Gopis. And second part of Krishna's family thought, no, he's a Kshatriya. He killed Kamsa, and after that he should establish the kingdom of Mathura. However, Krishna did not establish himself as a king of Mathura. He inaugurated Maharaj Ugrasen, which was a grandfather, which means father of Kamsa. But when you say, how is that, such a auspicious spiritual person as Maharaj Ugrasen could have such a son as Kamsa, then the backstory, in Vedas everything has backstory obviously, so the backstory is when Maharaj Ugrasen were at the war, one ritual demon took form of him and went back to his wife and said, hey, I just got back from battlefield, I really need some relax, and she gave him the relaxation. So that's how she got impregnated. So the demon born through a pious, auspicious king. So in a Vedic conspiracy story, it reveals to you that demons can be conceived even in auspicious families. And you would think, these are the good father, good mother, good lineage, but actually sometimes not. And at the same time, you could also see from divine conspiracy that Prahlad Maharaj born in demon's family. And the father was, the seed giver was Hiranyakashipu, and you would think is always from someone bad, something good come, or always something good, bad come. That is the conversation between Socrates and Protagoras. The two philosophers met and they had discourse. So one of the discourse was why in the good families there are some bad children, and why in some poor families and unstable families, there's some geniuses be born. So technically, our spiritual understanding, number one, will of Krishna. Number two, there's a will of karma, which means universal law. So if you really follow the lineage where Prahlad born, then through certain blessings of Nrsimhadev, there's like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyayaksha, Prahlad, Virochan, then Ravana, all came from one lineage. So you can say sometimes there'll be great saints, sometimes there'll be great demons. Sometimes there'll be great saints, sometimes there'll be great demons. So, Bali, also from that line. And so one time, there's also Ravana, Mahiravana. So Ravana went down to the low planetary system and he went to seek the blessings of the Bali. And his blessings was to destroy Ram and to acquire Sita. So he came to his grandfather, and the grandfather was demon, but he also understands. Ravana is doing some of his crazy stuff on earth, but Ravana is also cause of creating a whole Rakshasa civilization on earth. Because previously Lanka been a kingdom of Kuvera, that's why manga and all these exotic gems and stones are still in Lanka. So manga came from Lanka because it's been taken by Kuvera from higher planetary system and adopted on earth. So you think, Ravana kick out Kuvera and even defeat gods in many of the battlefields. Then the gods had to flee and they kept Lanka to Rakshasas. So as the king of Rakshasas, he started developing Rakshasa kingdom based on technology, Tantra, Yantra, scientists. So until today, many Ayurvedic doctors read his Ayurvedic books. So if you think Ravana is some kind of a demon, he's like super educated person with 10 heads, a 10-core processor, and super advanced, knew everything about Vedic science, any field he would be expert. Whether it be music, some of the most amazing ragas are written by Ravana. Some of the most extraordinary medical books written by Ravana. Some of the most extraordinary tantric books of mathematicians written by Ravana. So you think the guy was like amazing. And he was from dynasty of the sages, but he was demon. So coming to his demon grandfather, he appeared in front of Bali Maharaj, and Bali Maharaj said, "Oh, grandson, I'm happy to see you. What's up? You never visit." And Bali understand, he must be seeking something from me. Then Ravana said, yeah, I'm very busy, I'm conquering demigods, and I'm taking over the manga fields, and I'm developing, oh, very good, very good. How can I serve you? How can I assist you? Oh, you know what? Vishnu. I know you had some dealings with Vishnu. That's what I've heard. So, some people say this Rama is kind of like Vishnu avatar. Some people say that he's just a human. I really want to challenge him in a battle. And I really destroy him, humiliate him, take off his wife, and put him in a place. And I'm seeking your blessing. And Bali said, grandson, you never ask devotee blessing to defeat another devotee or harm another devotee, especially who's very dear to Vishnu, or you never ask devotee blessing to do something towards harming Vishnu himself or his devotees. But I can tell you, I can show you a few things that make you think what kind of blessings I can give you. Then he took him in the garden and he said, have you seen this gigantic golden ring? He said, yeah, I've seen it. Can you lift it? He said, oh, it's too heavy, I can't. Oh, this is the earring of Hiranyayaksha, our grandfather who were killed by Vishnu. You can't even leave his earring. You can imagine how powerful demon he was. And you try to challenge God. You're trying to challenge God. with all your brains, with all your understanding, you can't understand one thing. There's only way to challenge God is to surrender and become His devotees. If you surrender to God, then He can become your servant. Actually, Vishnu, Krishna, He believes if someone offers fully himself, He's obligated to him, and He will think of him. And more than that, because of he will not be able to serve his devotees, because devotees never accept anything from Lord, that's their nature. He will serve devotees of his devotees. Because Mahaprabhu said, Dasa, Dasa, Dasa. So this is the quality. And also, Lord Himself wants to come as a devotee. In the form of Mahaprabhu, He's clearly showing that. So, like you want to challenge Vishnu, become his devotee. But if you want to show your little ego, and especially you try to enjoy his female potency, which is only meant for his enjoyment. No one else can enjoy that potency because no one else has such a reciprocating quality of love. Then Ravana was like very disturbed and like, I am not coming here to hear lectures from Avadhut Maharaj. I'm coming here with my practical plan. I need to fulfill my plan. I'm sorry, grandfather. Thank you for, there's somebody else waiting for me. Disappear. Okay. So Bali Maharaj was like, okay, dealing with son and daughter and grandson is not easy sometimes. Because they don't take us older people seriously. They think they know everything. They think they have so much energy, youth, vitality, power. But, this Ravana will pay for everything. What can you do? You can't, it says you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink. I just gave him best advice ever. Become a devotee, surrender to Vishnu, give up your enjoyment tendency, try to serve, and not only you will conquer the Vishnu, you also will acquire the highest fulfillment. So that is, one of the idea of Krishna consciousness. What we're looking for is fulfillment. And there's a plane of exploitation where we can find fulfillment through our senses. And our senses are eating as food. We need to throw them something, like to dogs, like when you have dogs living in your house, you have to throw them sometimes something to make sure a dog is not going to bite you. But in deeper sense, you can understand, you cannot fulfill your inner hankering by the external circumstances. Like sex, drugs, and rock and roll is something very good for time fulfillment, but it will never fulfill you eternally. It will never give you that inner feeling that you're looking for. That's why Guru Maharaj wrote book Inner Fulfillment, which means, yes, you can, as we say, Jatendriya Tahikala, the Indriya need to be fulfilled, the eyes, the tongue. And so there's, in the Bhagavatam, what's the name of Maharaj? Who was Maharaj Ambarish. Actually, Prabhupada gave that name to Alfred Ford. Oh, you Ambarish. And that Maharaj Ambarish, it says in Bhagavatam, he engaged his eyes looking at the deity, hands cleaning the temple, ear to hear Harikatha. So out of so many devotees that practicing 9 kind of devotional service, Maharaj Ambarish was known who fully engaged his own senses in Krishna consciousness. Although being a king, obviously was not attached to the kingdom. So when Durvasa, and again, there's so many stories about Durvasa because Durvasa is Shiva Bhakt. And Durvasa also Brahmana. So Brahmana nature is to be hot-headed, but pacify. So if you really see somebody, he can be hot-headed, and then he can be peaceful. That is the Brahminical nature. Kshatriya nature is opposite. Kshatriya can tolerate externally, internally, he never forgets you. So Durvasa is a hot-headed person. Many times his character went to trouble. So he, at Ekadashi day, thought, okay, I have my Paran, break Ekadashi feast, and a king, like when you're fasting, like next day you want to have real feast. So Durvasa thinking, well, it's the perfect time to accept invitation of Ambarish. He's a devotee, and I'm doing my Ekadashi fasting, my tapasya, so, I'll come and break the fast with him, and he will offer amazing feast, and, like Durvasa normally comes with many of his followers, yogis, and so, and he came and established himself in front of the king, and king asked the blessings, touched the feet, offered him worship, and Durvasa was very happy. And he said, I'm coming here to break my fast with my followers, but, before I do that, I have to go to snan, and, when we say snan, it's not just taking shower. Some people do long time with shampoo, scratching their body, but, really in yogic way, snan is you do sandhyavandana prayers, and while you pray, you're supposed to remember the holy rivers, then you chant Gayatri mantra, and then you do sandhyavandanam and pranayama, like so many things, just to get ready. It's called the morning duties. We partially have that, which comes from Pancharatra, but the Vedic way could be almost unlimited. It could go on for hours. And you can imagine, he probably came with his followers, and he's doing all the things, and everybody will follow him. So the time of breaking fast came, and he's not even here. Then the king, asking his brahmanas, advisors, he said, well, according to astronomical calculation, the Paran is more important than fast. See, fasting and breaking fast with prasadam, because fasting, you're not taking anything. When you break and fast, you have to take prasadam. That is the very important part of your break and fasting. And normally, you have the Jagannath prasadam bags from Puri, which we buy in bulk and giving everybody, so then you can take a couple of grains, and that will, make your fasting for very auspicious. So Durvasa, he's like, okay, Durvasa's taking a shower, and Ambarish thinking, I have to break the fast. Then he asked his brahmanas and say, what can I do? Well, since you got a guest in the feast, it's not good to take feast without the invited brahmanas and Vaishnavas. But what you can do is you can, drink a couple of drops of charinamritam, the water from the feet of the Lord. That is not to be considered eating, but it's considered to be breaking fast as well, and it's equally beneficial. Payam pushpam patratanum nami bhaktah upashati. So leaf or water, that can be taken. So considering the brahmana's advice, Maharaja Ambarish taking a few drops of water, and very happy continue preparation, but after some time, suddenly Durvasa comes with his group, and he's realizing by his mystic power, oh, you already ate. You already broke the Paran. And he became very offended, and he tried to curse the king. Then the end of the story from Bhagavatam, that Sudarshan Chakra chased him, and whoever he will go to take shelter, whether it's Shiva, Brahma, then they wouldn't give him shelter. They said, no, you're offender, sorry, we are not dealing with that. Because they know the Vaishnava aparad, the offense, is something that you should avoid. Like Srila Govinda Maharaj said, yeah, you should try always to avoid Vaishnava parad. Okay. So that is the way that we should behave, whether we like something or not like something. Sometimes we don't like what devotee is doing. Sometimes we see they're doing something very unlikely. But it says in scriptures not to glorify somebody and not to chastise somebody. Not too much glory, not too much chastisement. Just one thing what you can do is participate or withdraw. So when you see something is going not properly, just withdraw. So like, my decision always when I meet some challenges in my life, which I cannot, some things you can change, some things you cannot change. Like you can easily change yourself, almost impossible to change others. Changing itself, very, very difficult, but it's something in your hand. Changing others, especially if they don't want to, almost impossible. So my answer was like, okay, just go to pilgrimage. See holy places, be engaged in spiritual pastimes, harikatha, and by Krishna's will, things will be changed. So this was like last year, Kartika. I had some difficulties. And I thought, when you have difficulties with your enemies, it's easier. That's some outside people. You just, break contracts, stop communicate with them. But when you have difficulties inside of your home, like with your family members, then it's very difficult to deal because it's all very sensitive and normally it's very difficult to resolve. So then my conclusion was, okay, I'll go for pilgrimage for almost like 3-4 months in India. So I went back to America and this problem was resolved by itself. Then I thought, okay, I pick up the right strategy because if I just try to resolve difficulties or problems with people, due to human's nature, it will create more tension, more ego, more like excitement, because it's always like trolling the troll, or scratching the womb. So if you constantly scratch the womb's not going to get healed. So you need to have something healing, which is something that has medicinal power. So it says in scriptures, chanting holy name, being engaged in Krishna Katha, going to pilgrimage, worshipping the devotees. That's one of the most auspicious things what you can do, especially at your difficult time in your life. So when difficult time of your life coming, which everybody has in his horoscope, just like right now, difficult time in Ukraine, or difficult time in Russia. So those people, those devotees who had fortune to escape Russia right now and go to India, they can stay in India for next 3-4 years, which Russia is going to be in full mess. And think of how much advancement you can do just by circumstance, becoming almost like sadhu in India. Or, stay under guidance of Guru Vaishnava, devotees, etc. So, Durvasa learned his hard lesson from that story with Maharaja Ambarish, because Vishnu explained to him that my devotee is very dear to me, so you mess with my devotees, then basically you cannot expect success. And finally, Durvasa thought, I'm a yogi, I'm Baba, I'm a renunciate. This is just a king, he's a Vishoy, he's a materialist. But Durvasa, with his estimation who spiritual person is, could not really understood the heart of Maharaja Ambarish. And what to speak, Maharaja Ambarish, like in Mahaprabhu Lila, we know the story when Mukunda brought Gadadhar Pandit to Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi, whose name was Premanidhi, He's in his previous life, Maharaj Vrishabhanu, descending to Gaur Leela as father of Radharani, and Gadadhar Pandit is what's left of Radharani. Then who can Gadadhar Pandit can take shelter? He's giving his heart and health to Mahaprabhu, but his guru is Pundarik. But the way it happened in the very beginning, because he could not recognize Pundarik, it was says in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavatam, when Krishna is speaking about his descent as Mahaprabhu, he said, we will not be able to recognize each other. Because that Leela is not, oh, you're Ramachandra, you're Krishna, you're that. That is kind of like internal realization, but that is not what happened in the Leela, because Leela is super realistic. It's like reality show, reality plane. It's like real life. When Mahaprabhu born as a poor Brahmana, he's a poor Brahmana. Sometimes he's getting a little piece of gold to Mahashachi because she's like, we have no money to eat. I said, well, what do you mean we have no money to eat? You know, Chintamani, Charana Bhushana, Mangalami. This place is like gold and jewels everywhere, Mom. It's like, what do you mean? Just go look at this, storage room. You'll find that there's tons of gold I've seen last week. And she's like, true, Nima, I found one piece of gold. I don't know where it came from. Probably from my birthday when all these brahmanas came and Advaita gave the gifts. You guys gave everything back, but you maybe forgot a couple of coins. See, Mahaprabhu would explain to his mom, this is Krishna's mercy. Krishna, you're a very good devotee. Krishna, take care of you. So the mom is going with this coin, and she probably don't even know what the real price is, but she knows, like, I get some food, I get some stock of food, so she's like, stash her food to cook for Nimai. And when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his mother came out of house and she sit on edge of house and she say, like, I don't need this house anymore. I don't need this household. You devotees take charge of house. My husband died. My one son took sannyas. My second time took sannyas. Now I'm alone with my daughter-in-law, Vishnupriya. No, you take charge of the house. I will just continue my life by begging. I most likely will die. But the devotee said, no, Ma. What we come to see Mahaprabhu in Shantipur, and you can cook something for him. Then that blessing came from Mahaprabhu. Oh, whatever my mother is cooking will be tell her it will be always offered to me. I will accept. So then that was hope for Shachimata that she will remain in her house with Vishnupriya, and Vishnupriya would chant Krishna Nam on rice seed, and as she chants the one name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, throw this in the bowl next. So by end of the day, she would get the bowl of rice, and that rice would be boiled with certain sabjis and certain dishes which Mahaprabhu would like. Shachima would be fully observed herself in meditation, and sometimes Mahaprabhu would eat it, and she would believe that maybe dog ate it, maybe I forgot to cook, and she would start cooking again. That's why we say in our tradition, cooking, Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is a cooking religion, and Gopal is coming, and Gurudev used to take prasadam, because cooking for the deity, it's kind of highest concentration on spiritual yoga. That's why when you think, gopis, they're not doing it. They're like they're cooking for Krishna, or they're garlanding Krishna, or they're making amazing things for Krishna, preparing Krishna's bed, people think, where's the spiritual advancement? These ladies look like beautiful ladies, but they don't look like renunciants, because people think, in order to be this kind of person in the world, you have to be renunciate. So Gadadhar Pandit had the same perception when he saw Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Pundarik looked just like materialist with the silk and stones and gems and beautiful hair, dressed by oil and mustache. And Gadadhar said, he's like smoking hookah. He said, that smoking person looked like aristocrat. I mean, like, it's 100% enjoyer, Vishoy. Like, everything about this person's enjoyment, the way he wears his silk dhoti, his, negligent jewelry, his silk, his hairs, his manicure, his nails. He doesn't look like a sadhu. He looked like materialist. Not just materialist, he's called like Narciss. Narciss is self-centered person. Okay, Mukunda realized he read the mind of it was not spoken because it was in front of, but he read the mind of Gadadhar Pandit. So as he's read the mind of Gadadhar Pandit, he called sloka aham bhakiyam kalakutah. That sloka is telling, the meaning of the sloka, that the most wretched, ugly person who was Putna, she came to kill Krishna, and before she tried to kill Krishna, she killed many babies, because she didn't know that might be Krishna, that might be Krishna, that might. See, because unless Krishna revealed himself to you, even if you know there's baby Krishna, even if you have mystic powers, but they're helpless when it comes to real Krishna. So killing so many babies, she's coming, and in the beautiful celestial form of young mother with breast full of milk, and everybody like, oh my God, where are these beautiful ladies coming from? And she's like, just give me the child. Like, get him some milk. So Krishna's like looking, he's like, wow, that's very nice, big breast. But you would think Krishna would enjoy with her breast. Actually, Krishna closed his eyes. And Vishwanath Chakravarti said, because Krishna closed his eyes for two reasons. Number one, he could see few things. Number one, he could see the ugly form of Putna. Number two, he wouldn't want to see how he's going to kill the woman, because she came in a beautiful woman. And number three, he had to fulfill the boon that Putna received from her previous life, because previous life she was sister of Bali. The Bali Maharaj we were speaking about Ravana, that same Bali Maharaj, when he did sacrifice, he invited Vamanadev and descend to the low planetary systems, but his sister was very much charmed by Vamanadev's personal features. And because Vamanadev came as a dwarf Brahmana with kamandal and staff, brahmachari staff, she looked at this brahmachari, she said, what a beautiful boy. His mother must be very beautiful. Although he's dwarf, but what is beautiful features? Yes, his mother must be like the most pretty woman in the world. So at that very moment, she had a sentiment of like appreciating Vamanadev, and Vamanadev said, Om. That means let it be, which means you've got the blessing. But we'll see how it's going to work out. So I don't know how many lifetimes she became Rakshasi before she born as a Putin in Vrindavan. But you can do trace back on Garga Samhita and other Puranas. But you can see that somebody who's been taken by Krishna and sucked out of her ugly demonic body. So when inhabitants of Vrindavan saw this ugly demon's body. It was so big that Krishna was like little boy climbing on her breast like a mountain size, and hairs like a forest. So she was like, ugly body after the mystic power gone. And so they finally see Krishna is there alive, and they took Krishna back, and Krishna was like, oh my God, Krishna saved. And they thought, what to do with this body? This body is so ugly. And the conclusion came, well, we can't keep it here because it will stink. Within a couple of days, it will be even more ugly. So let's just, because it will stink and it will be ugly and this, so let's just cut in pieces, piece by piece. So the coward boys that came, they took their axes and started cutting. And they made a huge pilot of wood, and they started throwing that pieces of demon's body to the fire. And impressively, there's a huge smell of agura flower. Agura flower is like the most fragrant oil, which is very seductive. In other words, the smell of her body is like Krishna Prem, like divine love. And everybody were like, somebody burning incense nearby. They couldn't even understand. And then finally they realized this body has a smell. So even that ugly body, which is asuric DNA, ugly, smelly by nature and pleasant smelly, become something transformed. What to speak about her soul, her pure soul. So when Pundarik, remembering that sloka, is deeply came to his ecstasy from just one idea that who else should I surrender besides Krishna? Who will be that Lord? As we spoke with Sudarshan last night, surrender. That's what it's all about, surrender. And there are many cases of surrender in scriptures towards, and it's not like everybody surrender out of goodwill. Yeah, the word devotee, but surrender means like fully giving himself. So that maybe with Kunti happen in a certain time, with Gajendra happen in a certain time, with Maharaj Ambarish happen in a certain time, with Durvasa happen in a certain time. Everybody by certain time will be exposed to surrender Lord Krishna by Krishna's will. So if somebody got into a difficult situation, there might be some Krishna's will behind that. So don't try to immediately blame Krishna. Oh, why Krishna? I'm in such bad situation. No, try to see something good comes out of it. Well, that's called divine vision. So then Gadadhar Pandit realized, the person I just offended in my mind are pure Vaishnava. What should I do? I should beg his forgiveness, but the best way to get forgiveness of Vaishnava, become his disciple. Just like your own father and mother will forgive you what normal people will not, out of their love and appreciation. So begging forgiveness from that devotee and surrender to that devotee and accepting his mercy in the form of holy name. So Gadadhar Pandit became a disciple of Pundarik Vidinida, and Mahaprabhu was very happy. So that's 2041. It's already a little bit too late. We've been going on since this morning. I think at this beautiful note, we should start chanting Hari Haraya, Nama Krishna, and thinking about what is our life meaning without surrender, or thinking like, oh, so many challenges coming to my life, whether they're relationships or health or wealth or war or anything. But if we can see that everything is the mercy of Krishna that pushing us towards surrender, just like Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, or maybe it was not, maybe it was Gaur Kishore, I don't remember who, but one of our teachers he was followed by kids in Vrindavan, and they would throw stones at him. And he would say, Krishna, I know your naughty, playful nature. I will go and complain to Mother Yashoda. So think of this, like these kids, they thought, oh, this Baba is pagal, he's crazy because he's in divine ecstasy, maybe some foam coming. And he's like, in Vrindavan you see many stone sadhu, drug sadhu, taking dutura, psychedelics, and go, and these kids are like, like naughty kids. They can be sometimes very dangerous. So they just throw stones at him. But he's like, hey Krishna. He's talking to Krishna while he's totally humiliated by a bunch of bridge buses. But so that means like, don't take psychedelics in Vrindavan. Because bridge buses might not appreciate that. But tells, even if you're a very divine person, well, Krishna will figure out way how to test you and how to check your surrender. Anybody wants to chant Hari Karaya? Hari Haraya Nama Krishna. Prabhu? Hari Haraya?
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya. Maybe songbook.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Yadavaya.
Gopa Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Madhavaya. Giridhari Gopinatha Madhavaya. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chanda. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita
beautiful chant, proper tune. Very good. So you guys stay overnight? Or are you driving? What's your program? Staying. You have a place?
This is our second night. We're down here in the guest room.
All good?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Amazing.
Wonderful. Okay, so then tomorrow we should begin early, and then 11 o'clock we have parikrama. At 10 o'clock we need some drivers, maybe Ananga and Kanika will pick it up, some devotees here. From the froggy fields of my Rim.